Hi, my name is Chon. I'm from Penang, Malaysia, and this is my 4th week for the fellowship program. The fellowship experience so far, maybe some of the fellows felt this way as well. It felt like I've been in a rehab, like an art rehab somehow. Like you got too addicted to doing art, everything. So now is the kind of rehab to kind of cleanse you from over immersing yourself in the art world. So this program kind of maybe try to stretch your imagination about the world a lot wider in some way. My expectation for the program, I don't really have a lot of expectation. I didn't really look forward to dancing so much, but it was good to find a way to kind of move your body. So for all the dance classes so far, I would say the belly dancing is very challenging. I hope no one was recording or taking photos. It was just, but anatomically, to be able to split your body into 2 parts and to move your lower bottom in that way, I can't really understand that. But Zumba was really nice because I like the music better. Just expected it to be super chaotic, and it is quite chaotic. But once you kind of know how to work out your sense of bearing of uptown, downtown, and where's Brooklyn, I think you can navigate around it better. And I was expecting New York to be very hostile because everyone is really busy, dealing with lots of things. And but I find people are actually quite friendly, very straightforward, also friendly at the same time. So I think there's a fine line for being straightforward and rude. I think New Yorkers are very straightforward. They just say exactly what they want. Like if you're standing in their way, they will just ask you, where are you going? That you can read it both ways, right? Being rude or being straightforward. So, but when you ask some of the strangers for a direction, they were actually very friendly. There was a lady, she kind of taught me how to not pay for some of the bus system as well. She said there's no need to pay. So people offer these sort of tips. I find it quite nice. There's this sort of solidarity of not giving in to the system. It's great actually. I don't know, maybe it's also because I'm in New York, I'm so far away from home, nobody knows me, I can do whatever. So that is quite liberating to not take yourself too seriously. Yeah, nobody knows you. Yeah. You don't matter actually. Just don't make it difficult for other people. But I do think I want to maybe dance a bit more. Yeah, I enjoy watching people doing street dance, but I'm not sure if that takes some commitment, serious commitment. I think so. For my curiosity about places of worship in general, the mosque experience was not surprising. It was exactly how I expected it to be. The experience at the synagogue was it was very warm and very, very welcoming as well, but it was very conflicting for myself to navigate all these things that's happening within the synagogue, knowing what's going on in the Middle East, but you also see there's just a bunch of people really celebrating their religion. So I'm still processing that. I I don't know how to feel about that yet. But apart from just going to all these places of worship, actually Quakers, if I have to choose my second religion, I would want to be a Quakers. I just admire what they do. Not to also to acknowledge they've done things that wasn't pleasant in some of the colonies. So regardless of the places of worship, I feel there are some there are very strong elements of spirituality in some of the activities as well, in the AA meetings and in the meditation. So you have the places of worship. You also have the places that has some inclination towards a religion, but they kind of tame it down to be more open for people who doesn't subscribe to that religion, like the meditation class, the Om Shanti meditation class, also the AA meeting. I think that's a strong Christian spirituality that they hold on to as a support for some of the people there. Overall, actually, now that you ask, I think this is great. I've never been to so many different religious establishments before within a few weeks. The difference between DC and New York, I think, because I just got in here and then I was like running around town in New York City and different boroughs, just getting things, attending programs. So going to DC, the moment you arrive, it just feels everything is a lot more spacious. And I kept wondering, where's everybody? Is it Thanksgiving? You don't really see that many people, unlike New York. And because Casey gave us a bit of historical context of how the architecture in New York, so I also know that there's this obsession of DC at the time, needing to be the capital of the country and also to present itself to the world. There's lots of buildings that is intentionally to look very old and very European, with all this neoclassical Palladian design, which I also see some of the buildings in New York as well. New York feels a bit like SimCity in some way, that they look old, but it got stretched like so many stories higher than what you would see in European cities. So DC in some parts feels, I'm not sure if I can say this, it feels like a theme park basically. It's a city constructed to show itself to the world what it's capable of in terms of the culture it has in history. And I particularly enjoy my time at the museum, especially the Native American Museum and the African American History and Culture Museum. So those would be my highlights of DC. Also, I went to the sharing session by Medar, this Dominican cartoonist for New York, talking about Rikers prison. It was shocking. So it's still very much now, a lot of things that you can see in the past has still happening until today. So yeah, his cartoon is pretty. Thanks for putting that in. That was a good one. I enjoyed that. So racism in Malaysia and the States, I'm still processing what I read and see here so far, because there's the part of the history of the slave trade that I am new to and I'm still trying to understand a bit more. But in terms of I can only, before I got here, I think my understanding of the slave trade and the suppression to the black population was only through movies, Hollywood movies or festival films, and maybe some of the song lyrics through some of the rappers, and that is very, because we're talking about a few hundred years different to Malaysia. Malaysia is a relatively new country, and indentured workers from India were brought in only in the late 20th century. So I wouldn't say is it's very, very different. I'm not trying to downplay what people are experiencing. The ancestor of some of the demographic in Malaysia is experiencing, but I think the history here is a lot more charged and a lot more complex. We can still see some of the influence that is happening to today, whereby in Malaysia, in some way, I think it's a growing middle class population. We still have a lot of stereotypes against certain race in Malaysia, and we still have to always kind of protect the so-called native right, which is the majority race in Malaysia. So in our school system, in college, I'm not sure if it happens here in the States, we still have the quota system. So people will be selected based on their results and also the quota, the ratio. So if each course has to guarantee there's always 75% of Malay intake, regardless of. So that is still happening in Malaysia today. I'm not sure. I don't know the system in the States where, because of the population ratio, you must keep, I don't know how many percent for the whites, but how do you can't do it in the States because no one can claim to be full white, full black, full brown. That is just a very simplistic way to categorize race, So in Malaysia, I think that there's been discussion about the quota system, but it is still happening as we speak today. So racism, I think, is very different in how it's in Malaysia than the States. What I'll take home with me is basically, I was telling Nancy about this as well, as a kind of mid-career artist, or mid-career artist, somehow you feel you get a bit less opportunities because when you kind of apply for fundings, there was always a cap on the age, before 35 or something. Now I'm in my early 40s, and you feel that you get a bit less opportunities compared to other artists. But through these programs, you also feel that the world is massive, and there are places that will always welcome you if you're just willing to give your time and invest your time and spend time with people. So it's not, in a way, I think my world's become a bit bigger, but I think after this program I've been kind of given the confidence to maybe just sort of walk into any sort of community, to feel that you can make yourself part of this if you're invested enough to want to be part of anything. So maybe that's my takeaway. One of the takeaways I have from this fellowship, that the world is not that small. The world is actually a lot bigger than we imagine it to be. Yeah. My session with Nancy, I never really had a psychotherapy session ever in my life before, because the only psychotherapy that I know was about Sigmund Freud. It was about the kind of emotional work that they're gonna unpack. It's really dark, but it was nothing like that. She was just a really warm and friendly person to listen to what you've done, over the week, and be there to support you. So, in a way, having Nancy there just to listen to yourself talk, because when you talk, you kind of think about what you say, so it's also a self-reflecting moment for me, and it was great because I see strangers every day, right? So it's good to have a person that that you go to every week. That was helpful. Tips for future fellows. I have to say, coming from Malaysia, what we spend on food is a lot less. Food is really, really expensive here. I think survival tips for future fellows: please be good at cooking and know how to work your grocery shopping. You will save a lot more. And for any of these programs, I think just go in with an open mind, and it's not as daunting as you might think, because I think the program director is sensible. It doesn't send you to places that is too dangerous or might risk your life. It's just, people are generally very friendly in most of the places that I've been to. And yeah.